back to Sprague Homestead. I'm Nikki, and today we're going to be talking about the best rabbits for the homestead. So I'm sure you've seen some of the other videos where we talk about the best meat breeds, we talk about the best pelt breeds, but I've had a lot of people ask me, what is the best overall breed for the homestead itself? So what I've done is I've looked at a couple of things. We're talking about growth rate, feed conversion, litter size, the ability to make pelts, temperament, colors, upkeep, and how available are they? I mean, it doesn't do you any good if I make you a list and you can't find any of these rabbits. That said, of my top 3, 2 of them are going to be rare breeds. So I'm only going to go over my top 3, and we'll kind of go through this and explain exactly why they ended up where they were. All right, so the first up is going to be my personal favorite, the American. So these guys were the original meat breed in the United States. They were also used as the original pelt breed in the United States. That long mandolin body, even though they're not much bigger in overall weight than the New Zealand, gives you a bigger pelt. Because remember, we're keeping pelt animals all the way to a prime pelt, which is closer to 8-9 months. So it's going to be a bigger pelt overall. So these guys, I think, are the absolute total package. Where they fall flat is in the ability to find them. So there are certain parts of the country where there are quite a few. We have a lot of Californian breeders. We have some folks in the Midwest. There's a breeder down in Texas. But unfortunately, we're not as national as I would like us to be. So with the Americans, we have just 2 colors. I gave them 5 stars for temperament because they're awesome, good growth rate. Slightly lower on the feed conversion than a New Zealand. If I could have figured out how to come up with half a star, I would have given them about a 4.5. You don't get the super tight bodies that you get in New Zealand, but they get 5 stars for a good litter size. Right now, I have a doe that is on her 2nd litter, and last time she had 10, this time she had 13. These guys are powerhouse mothers and birthers. Very seldom do I ever have an issue with them. They're just an overall good rabbit. The thing that makes them killer for the homestead, other than feed and pelt, is attitude. These guys are so nice and so friendly. I've only one time had an American doe that was kind of a pill, and she came out of a bad situation. The bucks are really easygoing. I don't mind at all when my nephews are here, popping open a cage if they want to reach in and pet them. Not at all worried. They just don't have an aggressive streak in them. Of course, anytime that mom's got a baby, she's going to be a little bit more overprotective. But generally, the Americans don't bother me at all. They just don't care. They want to kind of stick their head over, check things out, make sure everything's going okay. But for me, they're the ultimate powerhouse rabbit for the homestead. And they're a heritage breed, which is really cool. So if you do them, you're at least trying to preserve some of that history. So my second choice is going to be the New Zealand. These guys come in 5 colors where our Americans only come in 2. So you've got a little bit more color if you're looking for a lot of pelt qualities. But where these guys fall flat is in temperament and in overall litter size. So at one point, the big thing with New Zealand's is they would hit, 10 and 12 in a litter. Right now, the association and several breeders told me that they are hitting 8 to 9. That is pretty consistent in their litter size. Now, of course, with the number of teats that a rabbit actually has, 8 and 9 isn't that bad, and this is part of why people think that they have a better growth rate than some of the rabbits that throw bigger litters, is because those babies are getting more milk as they're growing in the first couple of weeks, especially. Is that true? I don't know. There could be a correlation to that. I don't really know. Personally, when I've had New Zealand's, I found them to be kind of spastic mothers, more prone to kicking babies out of a nest, more prone to stomping them. Just not an animal that I'm overly impressed with on their mothering skills. And I know that wasn't something that I put on the checklist. But overall, the mothering skills I thought fell a little bit flat. Upkeep, availability, and that is really what puts them in my second place for a top homestead animal, is the availability. New Zealand's are everywhere. You can get them everywhere. They're one of the most commonly exported rabbits, or at least they were at one point. So when you get into developing countries or countries that are just kind of getting into the rabbit craze, every single one of them seems to have New Zealand's. Their second thing is typically Californians, but New Zealand's are kind of the big thing that you can find everywhere. Whether you're in Japan, Trinidad, it doesn't matter. You can find them. Like I said before, temperament is where I find that these guys really kind of fall flat. When we had ours, I would never have trusted a kid to stick their hand in the cage. It wasn't that they were real bitey and aggressive, but it was more that they were really, really flighty and nervous. We handle our rabbits quite a bit, and I never could get them to be as relaxed and laid back as some of the other breeds that I've had. I definitely feel like they have a higher fight or flight response than some of the other rabbits that we've had. So while there are good lines, and I will say that the reds and the blues and the broken reds in particular seem to be the most chill out of the breed, overall, I really don't like them for kids. I think they're just way too high strung, and I've seen a lot of kids get some really nasty scratches and bites from them. So that's why I've put them on my second choice. Great pelt and meat animal, not so great personality. So my third choice is going to be the silver fox. Now officially these guys come in one color, but there are actually quite a few. You'll see chocolates, you'll see blues, there are people working on lilacs, there are whites, and I even know somebody who's working on a broken line of them. Officially though, the black color with the silvering in them is what they were made for, hence the silver fox. The white is supposed to be more of an Arctic fox mimic. Beautiful rabbits. And if you really want to do pelts, this would probably be my choice out of the three. The pelt's heavier. They're just a nice, heavy, beautiful pelt when they're primed out and tanned. So where these guys fall a little bit flat is they don't grow necessarily as fast as we see in the Americans or the New Zealands. They're usually a full week to week and a half behind them at hitting that 5-pound mark. Not such a big deal, especially if you're growing them out for pelts. A week delay doesn't make much difference. In that, the feed conversion is not quite as good either. So these guys do take a little bit more food to get them up to where they need to be. But the silver fox, where it falls flat, is just finding them. Now, they're getting to be more popular, but of course, they are still considered a rare breed. And being a rare breed, that means breeders are fewer and farther between. Like the Americans, they're in pockets. So we have some good breeders in Washington State. I've heard there's a pocket of breeders in Ohio. Beyond that, I'm not familiar enough with the breed to be able to tell you where a lot of them are. But it seems like where somebody has them, there tends to be groups of them. If it's a breed that you're interested with, check with the National Breed Club, though. They can usually find you a breeder nearby. And there's quite a few transporters now starting to run nationwide. And you might be able to pick some up and bring some in. Transport is a little bit more expensive, but to get something as unique and is all around good purpose as a silver fox, it might be worth the extra expense. So like I've mentioned before, there are certainly other breeds that are good meat rabbits, pelt rabbits, that kind of thing. But these guys are going to be my top 3 picks for overall homestead rabbit. You've got other choices like the California and the Satin and the Rex and that sort of thing. But they all tend to fall flat. These guys are all within a point of each other or a star of each other. And really, sometimes going with the heritage breeds are actually the better way to go. Remember that heritage breeds a lot of times were developed on homesteads and small farms and that sort of thing to fit specific needs. And for most of us, the very specific need tends to be meat and fur. I mean, that tends to be what we're looking at, and that's what these guys were developed at. The New Zealand, while it's a great meat animal and has done quite well in pelt, remember that it was developed for commercial applications where temperament, out the window, they don't really care. It's about breeding as quickly and efficiently as possible, growing them, butchering them, and being gone with them. So I'm sure somebody's going to argue with me. They always do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free to leave it in the bottom. That's fine. If you've got your own favorite, no harm, no foul. I'm sure the Rex people will come in behind me and say, no, Rex is the thing, and that's fine. Y'all can have your favorite rabbit. But for me, these are going to be my top 3. If you have other questions, you can leave them in the bottom. You can always send me a message through the Facebook page, through Instagram, and you can kick me an email if you'd like at srhomestead@yahoo.com. So that is it for tonight from Sprague River Homestead on our top 3 all-purpose homestead rabbits. I will see you next time. Happy homesteading.